Hello everybody, it's Mimberly, welcome back to the channel. Now, I was planning on releasing Touch Starve today, but after today's announcement from Love and Deep Space, I decided we're going to move that video to tomorrow and we're going to get some thoughts out. So, let's talk reruns. Now, I'm going to talk today in particular about what, as a community, we seem to not like about reruns from my own, research, because I've been spending some time looking through the last couple of reruns, try and get some kind of general feedback from the community, as well as how I think we could make the reruns better if I was somebody working at Infold. So, let's get into it. First off, let's talk about why the reruns are a problem. The first thing I want to say is I love the fact that Love and Deep Space are rerunning the cards, because it means that for players who, for example, no defense zone. That was probably one of the first cards that really grabbed my attention from this game, considering, I made it as own unique video when I reacted to the trailer. But as somebody who did not get to the opportunity to start Love and Deep Space when it first dropped, I love the idea of being able to go back and collect cards that I don't have. But this is where it becomes a problem, because there are multiple things with the reruns that I think need to be addressed by Infold. And the first thing I want to talk about, again, I've got my notes on this side of the monitor, so if you see me looking away, I'm not cheating, I'm looking at my notes. Players generally just seem to feel like the reruns are poorly implemented and poorly timed. And I'm going to be honest, as somebody who does play Love and Deep Space on the channel and does get a decent commission from it, shall we say, from YouTube, being part of the YouTube content creator program, it is very, very frustrating, because the reruns don't even include the original events that came out with the card. Now, it might potentially be a thing where, I don't know if this is even possible, but maybe we could have like a little story recap thing, or just be able to play the event again and get the same awards that we would have done back then, or, the equivalent if it's no longer applicable. I think would bring more value to the game, rather than it just being another banner, if that makes any sort of sense. And there's a lot of lore hidden in these events. Like, if we look at the Adventure Among Clouds event, yes, I've played it. No, I've not released it yet. Don't. Saz is going to kill me. Don't shoot me. She's been keeping on me to play that for over a year, so the joke exists. Silas had so many references to the dragon myth, but back then the dragon myth hadn't even been announced, so we didn't know about this. And now being able to replay through that event, knowing about the dragon myth run, it made the experience so much better, because it was linking to something we now know, which back then we wouldn't have done. And I don't know, I just feel like the reruns don't add anything to the game. If anything, it's just Infold's way of getting a little bit of extra pocket money. That's just my personal opinion, especially because the prices for the reruns can sometimes be just as expensive, if not more expensive, which leads very nicely onto my second problem. It needs a special certain currency, being the rerun wishes. Now, granted, you can use your limited wishes to convert them to rerun ones, but if I ever see anybody using their limited wishes to pull for a rerun, I think they're an absolute idiot. And that's not just me being biased, well, if you really want to see what happened, you can go watch a non-commentary version of it on YouTube, or you can go, watch Mimberly playing the card, or Nate Dogga, or Tani, or Lexi, or Atomic Sade, any of the other amazing Love and Deep Space content creators that exist on the platform. But also the fact that they don't go for very long, being maybe a week up to 9 days, I'd say. And it just feels like they charge the same amount, but they don't give you any additional benefit or contribute towards free wishes, which sucks. There's a lack of communication and planning generally with Infold, which I will be honest, as a content creator, is infuriating, because the amount of times that, your girl has stayed up or gone to bed early and then set an alarm for 3 AM in the morning in case a trailer drops, it sucks! Like, I start getting a bit about 3 days before a banner ends, and I start going to my community being like, when do you think a trailer is going to drop? And we make it a meme. Sleek, for example, from the Council of Idiots, she She never predicts it correctly, so at this point it's become a meme that I ask everybody except for her because her opinion is discounted. Don't sleep, please don't kill me, I love you. But it's getting to the point where trying to guess when these trailers are going to drop is a nightmare. And I don't like that I have to keep getting up super early in the morning just to be able to predict and react to a trailer when it first comes out. Like, I overslept for Indulgence Scheme, and my video got very badly affected by that. To give you an idea, if I find it, that trailer got 1.2k views. Most of the time, if I release a trailer bang on time, it gets at least 1.5. So I did feel the effect of that one, truth be told, and it does suck because that was a wild card. But because there's no clear roadmap from not Hoyoverse, sorry, that's the wrong company, from Infold's perspective, I think it's just a lack of communication with the players, and the only time we really get any sort of communication is through platforms like Twitter, which we all know is naturally a bit more on the toxic side anyway. But also the fact that they don't even like redo the trailer, they just update the dates on it and call it a day, which does make it very, very frustrating. Let's not even get to the Oracle scam, because that's another topic for another day. Let me just make this a little bit bigger, because apparently I can't read my own typing. The timing and the resource pressure is the other thing I've been noticing we've been complaining about. So a lot of people have been kicking off, essentially, that we are getting more pressured and experiencing the fear of missing out rather than enjoying the game, because we don't want to lose the resources, and once the event is gone, it's gone. And that is such a very big shame, because I think Love and Deep Space is one of those games. It's got so much potential when it comes to things like, you know, the story. Not that we get an update on it very often, but when we do, God does it deliver. And it just feels like sometimes it feels like Infold chucking the reruns to buy ourselves time. Unlike, for example, Honkai Star Rail, which seems to be rerunning characters alongside a new character. So if you're not interested in the active character that's currently live, you can go for a rerun. For example, I got Firefly on a rerun, and I'm now saving for Lingsha and Fugue because I want to go for a Dahlia, Firefly, Fugue, and Lingsha team. So, you know, that's just from my personal perspective. The resources are already a huge grind and stress in the game anyway, and the reruns just only add to that pressure. But the general kind of gist of what I'm getting people saying is things like reruns should be offered on the side, but running them as full events can come across as being very lazy, so maybe we need to do it in another way. To be like, maybe if you've already played the event, you have the option to skip it, or say you already own the card, you know, maybe you have the option to skip the event. I don't know, but you can still claim the rewards. I don't know, I'm throwing ideas out there. You know, there's lack of planning and a lack of communication from Infold in generally, so even if they gave us like a roadmap on, say, the next 4 months, like for example with Hoyoverse, they'll drip market characters about 2 patches ahead in advance, which means that we can never complain because we know when characters are coming up. It's just a case of what their kit's going to be. And if we're really that interested in character, we will put aside resources for it. And, you know, Honkai Star Rail has implemented the resource tracker now, which has been an absolute godsend. So, you know, I just feel like that's generally the gist. If I have missed anything, or you have another opinion that I've not mentioned, please let me know. But generally, the bottom line from what I'm experiencing is that it's limited notice, which means that we can't plan accordingly. It conflicts with the new limited banners too often, and does not really contribute towards getting more resources, and that it's costly. So, if I was working for Infold and I was given the sole task of improving reruns, what would I do? Well, the first thing, for example, I bring back the original event stories, any cutscenes, or mini gameplay / mini games like the shop stacking one and the organization one, or the platforming ones back. Alright, that would be the first thing that I would implement, and maybe for it being a rerun, maybe add like a couple of extra cosmetics or something into the shop. I would also create a system where for reruns the pity is lower. So say for example, instead of it being every 70 wishes for a guarantee, I'd reduce those to maybe 50 or 55 for instance. So it's still, you still have to work for it, but nowhere near as much. And if you want to go ahead and purchase the packs to get them, you can get those packs at a more discounted rate than the initial release. Or make it that the more pulls you do, you get more pulls back, like we do with the current event. And or my personal favorite, I say personal favorite because I love when games do this, the first 10 pull you do is discounted. So instead of paying 10 wishes for a 10 pull, you pay 8 wishes or 7 wishes, you know, something like that. So it's going to feel more like a second chance price rather than, you know, whatever. And then standard wishes. Why do we not let the players use the standard wishes? I mean, I know a lot of people don't pull on the standard banner because they're now waiting for the next love interest. That is God knows how many wishes potentially sitting there, and it allows people to potentially save their limited wishes. I don't know. And then just give a good roadmap about when we're going to do stuff. Like, for even if we're not revealing it, just say new limited cards, rerun, or just get them some sort of idea. Like, for example, we use emojis for certain characters, right? So for example, why didn't they go, oh, new limited card, apple for Caleb, then rerun, and then it's a fish for Raphael, and then multi-banner, then obviously that's relatively self-explanatory. Then go, oh, I don't know, multi-rerun, and then have the emojis. So like, for example, a feather for Silas, a snowflake for Zane, star for Xavier, fish for Raphael, which would suggest it was a multi-banner before Caleb was released. And then just make it so you can generate reruns from limited banners by separating them a lot more, but not overlapping. So, or maybe having a rotation where there's always a rerun going, but the card that's being rerun is just constantly being rotated. And you know, that's just like where I think personally we could be making some improvements. Obviously, again, I want to reiterate that I do not work for Love and D Space, even though I'm affiliated with the company. That's just on a content creator perspective. But if that's what I was doing or if that was my task involved, that's personally what I would do. But what would you do if you were in the position? Let me know. Or what do you think personally annoys you about the reruns? Do you go for the reruns? If yes, why? If no, let me know why as well. Let's just open up a conversation in the comments. Let's just get our feelings out there, because leading into 2026, I do think we're going to be getting a lot more reruns. And while this does potentially offer a little bit of extra time for certain players to save, I think the general gist is going to put more pressure on everyone. And as somebody who enjoys this game on a very casual basis, and I just make content from it, the fact that the game's going down this way and the community feels like this really, really sucks to see.